Hi plant friend. So in today's video, I am going to share with you my favorite field guides, okay, for identifying plants. So you definitely want to stick around to the end. Okay, so I have to review all these books with you. Oh my gosh. So I just want to say something. I could have never have become a botanist without getting all these books, okay? I have relied so heavily on these books to learn the flora of the Southeast. It's not even funny. I did have some amazing teachers along the way. Gary Kaufman, shout out to him. He's the botanist for National Forest in North Carolina. Dave Danley, he was the botanist for Pisgah National Forest. Duke Rankin, he was the botanist for Nantahala National Forest, and Betsy Spears, who was my horticulture teacher. So I have had all these amazing teachers, but a lot of times they're not with me, right? And so I've had to rely on these books to learn the flora. And if you are following me and you're watching these videos, you are interested in plants. And probably more chances than not, you want to learn more, and you want to learn how to go outside and engage with the flora around you. You want to know which ones you can eat, which ones you can use for medicine, okay? And the first way that I recommend you doing that is by purchasing some books and getting started on your own, okay? You got to do some independent study. And in fact, if you ever want to become a botanist or a really skilled forager, you have to get some books and you have to learn how to key out plants. All right, so I am going to start. Look at all these. There's way more underneath there too. So I am going to actually start by going from the easiest key, all right, to the hardest. So I'm going to start from absolute beginner. You've never gone out and foraged. You don't know any native plants or any naturalized wild herbs, to someone who is pretty good, intermediate, and you want to become very skilled. All right, so we're going to go through all of those, and then I'm going to give you a bonus at the end. So definitely stick around and watch the end, because I'm going to give you something for free. So I am sitting outside on my porch because it's such a beautiful day, and the wind chimes are making a melody. So please excuse the beautiful music and the birds, and you might hear some cars go by. But anyway, I am going to start. So the first book that I recommend you get for learning the flora of where you are is a regional book. So I want you to get a field guide of where you live, okay? If you live in the mountains, get a field guide of the flora of the mountains, okay? Make sure that it has the word guide in it. You want a field guide. And the field guides usually always have pictures. And so this is really good for beginners because you can look at the pictures. So here I turn to coastal dunes. Say you go to the beach, and this is what I love doing. I love going to the natural community, and coastal dunes is pretty easy for a beginner to know that they're in a coastal dune system. Go to the coastal dune and flip to the coastal dune ecosystem, okay? This is Wildflowers of the Carolina Low Country by Richard Porcher. He's amazing. And the Lower PD. All right. So instead of getting first Wildflowers of South Carolina, which I have, I got Wildflowers of the Low Country, because this is specific to this region, this area, and it's a great place for me to start to learn the flora. All right. So no matter where you are, you know, if you're in the Great Lakes, or you're in the Mojave Desert, or you're in the Low Country, get a field guide to that area, the smallest region you can, all right, and then expand. So don't start with like the field guide of the flora of Michigan, you know, or the field guide of the flora of North Carolina. You want to make sure that you get a field guide to the flora of the Carolina coast, or a field guide to the flora of the mountains. Okay, so just a little recap. Make sure, if you're a complete beginner, you get a field guide that has pictures that is specific to your region, okay? Mine, the first one I started with when I moved here, was Wildflowers of the Low Country. After that, I got a guide, again, keyword being guide, to the Wildflowers of South Carolina. And this was written by Richard Porcher and Douglas Rayner. And this book is awesome. I highly recommend it if you live in South Carolina. And it is broken up by natural community type. So if you're in a swamp forest, if you're, you know, and there go the chimes. And a rich cove forest, let's see, granitic flat rocks. Oak hickory forests, which tend to be on drier slopes. You know, they tend to be on south and west facing slopes, dry. Piedmont springhead seepage forest. These are in the Greenville area. Atlantic white cedar forests, which are becoming very rare. Longleaf pine flatwoods. You would have to go really to the Francis Marion National Forest to see a good example of that. Bald cypress tupelo gum swamp forests. Pocosins, pond cypress savannas, tidal freshwater marshes. So some of these natural communities might be hard if you're a complete beginner to find or know that you're in, but some of them are going to be easier, okay? For instance, on the coastal plain, tidal freshwater marshes. You're gonna know when you're in a tidal freshwater marsh, right? That's kind of easy, even for a beginner. Maritime forests. We have a lot of maritime forests here, and so this is a great one to thumb through. And just put a check. When you learn the species, I love to put a check, although I haven't marked in this book. I love to put checks by them, and Dave Danley, one of my favorite botanists that I ever worked with, he wrote down, you know, where he saw the plants, the date, and he checked by all the species that he knew, which was awesome. And a flora, which I'm going to show you next, a manual to a flora. All right, so although I am in the low country and I'm not in the mountains anymore, I first did all my botanical training in the mountains, okay? And that's where I really learned the flora, and I learned the different genera and species. And one of my favorite books that I have to share, which is worthwhile getting no matter where you live, actually, because it's such a good book, is The Wildflowers of Tennessee, the Ohio Valley, and the Southern Appalachians. You notice it does not say field guide in here, but look at the bottom. The official field guide of the Tennessee Native Plant Society, the official. And so they wrote this book. It was different members of the Native Plant Society, and I think they took like 10 or 15 years to do this book, and all the different members took pictures. But the reason why I really, really love this book, and I think you should get it, is because it is organized by family. And learning plants by family is so key, and is going to save you so much time, and it's going to build your confidence a lot faster. Okay, it's a great way to organize the plants, to know the features of the plant and how they are grouped together in families. All right. So it's how it allowed me to forage mustards when I was in the Mojave Desert. And look at this. This is so funny. The first page I turned to is a mustard family. All right. So you can learn the features of the mustard family. And actually in Botanical Medicine Movement, I teach students medical botany by teaching them plant families. All right. We start with the ferns and we go all the way to the flowering plants, to the asters. And I teach them all the medicinal plant families, or all the medicinal plants in that family. So for instance, in the Magnolia Ace family, I teach them all the characteristics, and then I teach them all the medicinal plants in that family. And it's just such a phenomenal way to learn plant medicine, herbalism, medical botany, all right? And this is one of my favorite books to get started on just understanding plant families. But it's not specific to the low country or the coast, but it has a lot of plants that occur down here. So it's still worth getting. All right, let's move on. I could talk all day about this book. The next one I'm going to share with you is a field guide. It says wildflower guide, but I think it's a little bit more than that. It's actually a key. All right, so you can key out the plants, but it's super duper uber easy. And I teach students how to do this in Botanical Medicine Movement. And I recommend, I don't require students to buy any books, but I highly recommend they buy this book. And it is a really, really good book. And it's written for the Northeast region, but most of the genera occur down here. And this is an awesome book that I recommend you get, Newcomb's Wildflower Guide. And if you really want to learn how to use it and you're struggling, definitely check out Botanical Medicine Movement, because I teach you how to use this book. Okay, I feel like I'm talking so fast because I'm super excited. I'm definitely a plant geek. But anyway, now here we get to the bread and butter. Are you ready? So these are floras. Okay, here I have the Manual of the Southeastern Flora. This is old. This is small. I think it was written in, it says 1975. This was given to me when I was a botanist for Nantahala National Forest. It was a really awesome gift. 1933. But it's still amazing. And it's illustrated, which is kind of rare for floras. You can see here is the grass family, Poaceae. And it's illustrated. Okay? But not all of them are, and actually, in fact, most of them aren't. So this is one that I bought for $50 at a botany boot camp in North Carolina. This is Flora of the Southern and Mid-Atlantic States by the one and only Alan Weekly. So Alan Weekly is the best botanist in the Southeast, okay? Him and Dwayne Estes. Dwayne Estes is a really good field botanist. But Alan Weekly wrote this book. He no longer sells them, but here's my gift. Remember I said if you wait to the end, this is near the end enough. It's a short video, so you lucked out. You can get this. You can download this for free today, okay? I will put a link into the show notes, so definitely download it, all right? And if you like free stuff, hit subscribe, because I'm going to keep giving it to you until the end of September. But anyway, yeah, you should definitely download this. You can download it, and he's updating it. He's identifying new species, and different botanists are identifying new species. A new trillium was found in the state of South Carolina. And so he doesn't want to print them anymore because it's always being updated. So it's free, and it's a huge, I mean, a tremendous gift, because this is a phenomenal resource. And it is, you know, when you use it, it can be intimidating, because guess what? There are no pictures besides where the plant occurs in the state, or I should say the Southeast. Okay. Poaceae, the grass family is really big and it's very hard to key out. I have a bunch of special books on how to key out grasses, and I kind of stopped, but I'm going to show you Fabaceae, which is the pea family. So let's break up the pea family. Let's just show you how many pages. Pea family is very diverse. It's an important family, one of the most important families for us, for humans, for food, and for fixing nitrogen. All right, and it's really easy to identify. It has a very characteristic diagnostic family. And then next is the rose family. This one's so old. This one, I bought this in 2011, 12 years ago, no, 11 years ago. So he didn't finish the aster key yet in this one, but look, that's how many pages on just the Fabaceae family, okay? And I think, sorry, I'm geeking out. I think he breaks it up in different keys because there's so many species in the pea family, all right? So I'm just going to read it out to you. If say you had a species in the pea family, this is the benefit of using this, right? Because you could get to family, or using this because you would know what family, all right? And then if you really wanted to get good, you would get a flora and you would start working through it, okay? You can teach yourself. Trees, shrubs, or woody vines. Herbs, right? So is it woody or is it herbaceous? And then leaves 4 many foliate. Leaves palmately compound with 4 or more leaflets versus leaves pinnately or bipinnately compound. And then it breaks it up even more. Leaves bipinnately compound, leaves pinnately compound. Am I losing you yet? Leaves 1 to 3 foliate, leaves unifoliate, leaves pinnately trifoliate, okay? So you have to know your leaf terminology. That is where you really start learning and you become good and you become very skilled, all right? That's how I became a botanist, by keying out plants. There's no way, there's no shortcut, all right? But there are so many guides to help you. And so here I wanted to show you this. So if you get to this point, if you start keying out plants in a flora without pictures, I highly recommend getting this plant identification terminology book. All right, and this would tell you, what is a pinnately compound leaf? What does it look like? And so if you download this and you got this book, you could start keying out plants. Yes, it may take you an hour or 2 hours to key out one plant, but you could do it with enough patience. This is basically an illustrated glossary. All right, now I'm gonna give you another huge bonus tip, not a free guide, Flora. But something I highly recommend if you love plants as much as me, because this is one of my favorite books and I should use it more. I just actually want to open it up and look at it all the time. But this is an illustrated companion to Gleason and Cronquist's manual. So they did a manual and they did an illustrated book to go with the manual. How awesome is that? I wish Alan Weekly would do that. Anyway, let's go to, let's see if we, I wonder if it has, pretty sure it's got Fabaceae. I was going to try and show you oh, there we go. So let's say you key it out. And here's actually a plant that Jalen, which we have an interview from last week, he's amazing herbalist, medicine man. And he was telling me about Midago, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and how he uses it. And look, so here is all these species in Fabaceae, and it's probably, let's see, I'll show you how many pages. I'm probably boring you, unless you really love plants. So let's see. Here, I'm going to show you how many pages of Fabaceae. Look, almost just as many as Alan Weekly's. So I could start looking at, this would be fun, I could start looking at how those keys are broken up in the Fabaceae and start looking at, oh, that has trifoliate leaves, or that has pinnately compound leaves, okay? So I highly recommend getting this if you want to become an expert forager or a botanist, all right? And I'll try and put some of these into the, I should say show notes, YouTube notes. All right, and I recommend when you go to the thrift store or you go to yard sales, look for old books like this, because I got this book, I think, from a yard sale or a thrift store, and I love it. It's so simple, how to identify plants, and it just goes through the basic fundamentals, okay? But I highly encourage you to not use a plant app. Plant apps are awesome. A lot of times I'll have students on a walk with me, or they'll use the plant app and it's wrong. It is just straight up wrong, okay? A lot of times, I would say about 50% of the time it's wrong. It might get them to genus, but a lot of times the species is wrong, all right? You can't just, use your phone and get one leaf and get a positive confirmation. And it's not going to help you learn botany. It's not going to help you learn about the plant's features, okay? So I highly recommend getting a couple of these books. And just to recap, start with field guides. Start with a field guide that is specific to your region. And then after that, get one that's for your state. And then after that, try and work with a manual of the flora of your state. Did I bring out? Oh yes, I did. I wanted to show you just an example of one for a state. So this is the Flora of Virginia, and my mom bought this for me. She's so sweet. I love my mom. When I got my master's, okay, in biology with an emphasis in botany, she got me this book, and I put my name in it. I put little stickers, but this book is so worth the investment. So it has, and Alan Weekly helped with this one, but it has these illustrated pictures in it. And they're, in the Southeast in general, there's a lot of overlap. So although I'm in South Carolina, I can use this book. All right, well, I think that about covers it. I gave you so many suggestions. I wish I would have had this video when I first started learning botany and plants. It's so helpful to know which guides and floras you should gravitate towards because there are a plethora available. But definitely get a library if you love plants as much as me, because it's so worth it. And you can always learn every season. You can always learn. There's always something flowering, which is why I love plants, why I love learning about plants. So if you love this video, definitely hit subscribe. It's for free. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, hit like, and I hope to see you around. All right.